First, you must realize that you have no idea before you can know the idea. We scan across all the frequencies if we want to learn anything new. Let us begin.
What has physics done for me lately?
Furthermore, the equation E is equal mc squared.
We have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature.
That's like when you're in physics and you go to Dreamworld saying, oh, this is a physics excursion.
Science. What is it all about?
The whole of human history all falls in the dust of one stroke of the nail file. You can't really get to grips with evolution unless you realise what an enormous amount of time.
Our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold.
You're tuned into what can only be described as the best radio station on this blue dot we call Earth. It is, of course, 4ZZZ, your community broadcaster, be it on your conventional wireless radio by tuning into the classic frequency of 102.1 FM, digital devices such as DAB or smart speaker, listening via the Community Radio Plus app, or streaming us live from our sensational website at 4ZZZ. Is that enough Zs.org.au? And of course, you can always listen back to this marvellous science show, 24ZZZ show, using the on-demand feature, also found at that URL. We also now have a weekly podcast of the show for your listening pleasure, curated by Toby, a condensed version of the show without the music, which my mum prefers. Just search for our show name, which is, of course, No Idea, spelt with a K. Spelt with a K, yeah. Your weekly dose of science. And joining me for this episode.
Forgets the show name. Forgets where we are, who we are. Something going on?
I'm really thrown because we've got Issy in the room.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Early.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got our other science communicators beaming in across the internet. May I please welcome Peta.
Hello.
And Gabrielle.
Hey. Yeah, the script says Issy enters stage right at about 10:30. So Max is thrown. The script's out the door today. Max, 11 years ago, astronomers discovered the Milky Way galaxy's fastest unbound star. You know what an unbound star is?
Star that's not connected to another star. It's not in a system.
It's a star travelling so fast that it's not bound by the gravitational pull of the galaxy it's in.
Yes.
So eventually it will break free of the Milky Way.
Flash the star.
So it's the fastest unbound star in the Milky Way. And it's the fastest unbound star we've ever found, but we tend to look in the Milky Way for these things. It's hard to see them in other galaxies. Anyway, there was an astronomer who told NBC News back when the news broke that won't actually happen for another 25 million years. So it's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But they think the star has reached such high speeds because it used to be in a dual solar system with a white dwarf that turned into a thermonuclear supernova.
And it basically got slingshotted out.
Catapulted out by the explosion of this star. It's travelling at what speed? Anyone know?
700
slower than the speed of light. There you go. So I'm correct.
Yeah.
At least
Max is correct.
7 kilometres per hour.
Izzy is also correct. Peter, I don't know where you got 700 and something from. It's 1,200 kilometres per second.
I don't like when he does this.
It's called, of course, the US 708, and it is our 708th episode of No Idea this morning.
I don't like this bit and I don't like this attitude.
What we realised this morning, though, Max realises that we should have taken last week off because then I would have been able to say that today, on this day, 72 years ago, was the maiden flight of this 367-80 Boeing prototype, which was the prototype for the 707 airliner. So we could have said on this day, exactly 72 years ago, the 707s.
Well, don't we always add a plus or minus one because we're assuming we're a little wrong?
So it's unfortunately not our 707th episode, but it is our 708th episode. It's been a packed week of science. What do you got coming up?
I'm adding to Max's list of flying things, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be talking about fish of the air, but not those ones. We're going to talk about some other things that are in the air. And then I'm going to be talking about sound, which is relevant on a radio program.
Marine sound? Ocean
sound.
Max?
Cleaning up radioactive water in mines.
Ooh.
Yeah. Cheery.
And I've got some stuff on a very weird study that I have some questions in the methodology of, but the idea is they've tested the uncanny valley in monkeys to see if they have it too.
So I'm excited for that one.
Into that.
I was ready for your 708 this week, and I checked out the TransLink website. There is no Route 708 in Brisbane or Queensland, but however, if you reside in Melbourne, Gabe and Peter, you're in luck because Transport Victoria does have a Route 708.
There you go.
The bus travels from Hampton Station to Currum Station, and it passes through Southland Shopping Centre. So I thought, Gabe, on the weekend, after your round at Royal Melbourne, you could go and check it out.
Do a report back.
On the Route 708.
Some on-the-ground journalism right there.
Everyone's asking for it.
Okay.
On Friday, 23rd of October, spend an evening with the Sunny Boys at Roma Street Parklands as they celebrate 45 years of their eponymous debut album. This will be the Sunny Boys' only Australian show in 2026. Joining them for this momentous occasion is The Clouds, Spy vs. Spy, and Mick Madew and the Ursula 4. Tickets available through Oztix, on sale to the general public from 10 a.m. on Thursday, 9th of July. 4ZZZ subscribers get early bird access from 10 a.m. on Wednesday, the 8th of July. Enter your 4ZZZ subscriber number to receive a discount. This message brought to you by 4ZZZ.
I forgot my mics were on.
That was good.
How many years have we been doing this now?
A bit of admin.
He doesn't know the show name. His mic is on.
What's happened to you this morning?
I'm never coming in early again. It's clearly thrown off. Like the noise.
cursed.
Yeah.
We need every other show to clip that.
Yeah.
Let's do Weird Science.
He's got it now. You know, I was going to do something today on neurons and brain development. I feel like I should have done it because maybe it would have helped us answer some questions, personal questions.
It took you so long to realise, Max.
We were all just like, what's going on?
You got to figure out what joke
Peter was just using their arms. So like,
Yeah.
Like,
And then point down to the deck. That's your hot mics, babe.
it's all right. Everyone knows how well organised we are.
Your own mic on.
Yeah. You didn't turn mine on, I know. Okay, well, everyone now knows it's Peter's go.
yes.
It's Peter's go. Peter is going to start off by, shocker, asking Max a quiz, which may not be the best day to quiz Max, but we're going to try anyway.
I think it is the greatest day.
Max is not great with birds. We all know this. Your bird list is maybe at 17 types of birds. We're not going to go to species.
That's a stretch. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you with other flying creatures?
Like insects or...
Insects is a good one. Some insects fly. What other things can fly or move through the air in a controlled manner?
Oh, that's a good... Oh, I only focus on drones and stuff like that, so... Yeah.
It's like the
Drones
robot now.
count? Surely.
Digital bird.
I did say animals, but so like not drones.
Okay. No, I've got nothing other than insects and...
Bats?
Bats is a good one.
Mammals.
Is you want to jump in?
Yeah, okay, very good. Yeah.
Mammals are famously animals.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
What else flies other than insects, bats, birds? What other animals fly?
Fly or controlled movement through the air?
Controlled movement.
Yeah. This is oddly specific now.
Do marine animals.
There are
They
actually a
fly
couple.
through the air, yes.
Eagle rays, flagfish have controlled movement through the air. But I'm talking about gliding marsupials.
Yes.
Otherwise just called gliders in Australia. That's what we usually call them, gliders. And we've got some incredible gliders. You've seen some new gliders recently, Gabe, didn't you?
Yep. There's the yellow belly gliders. We have the little sugar gliders and all sorts of...
And we recently saw a feathertail glider, which was incredible.
Feathertail
That was
gliders.
really cool. Tiny little thing. Very, very cute. Upsettingly cute,
But can they
actually.
hover? See, that's
No.
the true test, I reckon. Can they hover?
Well, then lots of birds can't either. You know that, right? No. So only some birds can do that. So that's not a good test. You'd lose a lot of flying things. Also, planes can't. We've got so off track here. But I'm going to need you to look up the definition of flight
Yeah, fair enough.
after this.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm talking about today is one of those gliders. We're talking about the greater glider. So this is the southern greater glider specifically. This is the largest gliding possum in eastern Australia. It weighs about 1 to 1.5 kilos. They have this really thick grey, sometimes cream, sometimes even a little yellowy kind of fur. And they've got these ears like a teddy bear. They would look a little cuter if their eyes were less buggy. That's a personal opinion.
They've
They
got
are still
nocturnal
really.
eyes.
They've got nocturnal eyes. You can see it. They're still very cute and they're very cuddly. And one of the reasons I know that is because I've seen them in the wild. I was very lucky to be able to follow along with the lead author of the study I'm going to be talking today, which is Dr. Anna Grassinen. She is the expert on southern greater gliders in Australia and knows her glider stuff immaculately generally. She's very good at this. I got to watch her in action. She goes up into the trees. Like one of the reasons she got into it is because she can do it. I don't know what the technical name for it is, but it's almost like sports tree climbing, where you like have a crossbow and you climb tens of meters into the air in these trees with a bunch of materials and stuff, and she goes really, really high up into the tree to find their hollows, because their hollows are usually very high up. They're very large hollows, they're old growth hollows. There's some really, really cool stuff around greater gliders in general, and watching Anna was an absolute treat to see her do her stuff. But we know greater gliders are great, and we know that they can glide. But how great can they glide?
Okay. How great can a greater glider glide?
Exactly.
How much great can a great glider
glide? So the thing that most people say is 100 meters, which is shocking. But actually, this only comes from really one place, which is a report from a resident of Milton in New South Wales in 1941.
I swear, I saw it glide from the top of the tree all the way over to Clive's shed.
Back in my day.
Got to be at least 100 metres.
Basically. In this observation, they mentioned that they saw multiple long glides in quick succession, lots of vocalizations, and has been cited ever since as the maximum distance. What we think they can do is 100 metres.
Yep.
But no one had ever really tested it. Like scientifically. They've tested other gliders, like captive sugar gliders, but also mahogany gliders, feathertail gliders, and yellow-bellied gliders all have had their abilities checked. They hadn't. So Anna and the team went to go and check. Now, there's two different ways that they're able to measure their glides. Most of the time, they were just recording glides opportunistically. They were in areas where there were lots of these gliders, and so as they flew overhead, they would record them and look at it after the fact. But sometimes they actually went up, found a glider in a tree, either in a hollow or on a branch, brought it back down to the ground to then take some measurements for another study, so, like sex, weight, body composition, that sort of stuff. And then instead of putting them back exactly where they found them, which is the norm, they put them back on a nearby isolated tree. Now, an isolated tree basically means that there's no canopy connectivity to other trees. So they can't climb their way out. They have to glide. They also, funnily, this was a really funny note in the paper that I found where they were like, oh, yeah, we usually went for dead trees because if they were alive, they would get distracted and just eat. And then they'd be sitting there waiting forever trying to see if they'd actually glide away. So that was hilarious. And that left them with 41 recorded glides. That they could look through.
Pretty good.
So what they found is that generally they glide from the top of the tree or horizontal branches and never from the trunk, which is what a lot of other smaller gliders will do, is they'll be able to turn directly away from the trunk flight. These guys can't do that. They launched from an average height of 22 meters, pretty high, and an average horizontal distance of 19 meters. They also descended at an average angle of 43.5 degrees, reasonably steep. But what was the maximum distance? That's what everyone's wondering. What's the longest? How far can they go?
Greater Glider Olympics, how far?
How far? Only 49 metres.
Oh.
Ooh. Which I want to point out here, that's still crazy long. You can't jump 49 metres.
True.
If you think about how big that actually is in comparison to the size of these things, that's massive. That's a huge distance. I don't want to sniff at what they're doing. It's very impressive. It's just about half of what we thought they could do. So a pretty big distance. They did say in the paper that there's one other recorded glide that was about 75 metres in 2009, and they think that's plausible because it was higher. Now, this is where we get into the maths of this. The reason they can't glide that long or that far is due to something called glide ratio, which is for every metre you fall, how far do you go?
Right.
So other gliders, like the yellow-bellied glider, have about a 1-to-2 ratio, so 2 metres for every 1 metre fallen.
Okay, 2 metres horizontally for every 1 metre they drop.
Yes, pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good compared to what we would do, which is, I don't know, maybe a 10-centimetre gain for every 1 metre drop.
Yeah, if we're flailing. We're just falling, really. We're not gliding, we're falling. But the greater glider was about 1-to-1. which is much worse. It's not great. I mean, it's, again, not terrible, just not great. And they think the main reason for this is that they have a relatively smaller patagium, which is just the skin bits between their arms and legs.
Yep.
And in proportion to their body size. Obviously, it is physically larger because they're massive, but it extends from their elbows rather than their wrists, so they don't actually get the full space that they could have theoretically. So then the question comes back to, what was that guy in Milton talking about nearly 80 years ago? What? That's huge. And Anna and her colleagues believe that it's most likely a yellow-bellied glider.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, we know they can make pretty big distances. Number two is the original report said that they had been vocalizing a lot, which is interesting because greater gliders don't vocalize.
Well, got them there.
So
that'll
was a pretty good clue that it wasn't right. But yellow-bellied gliders do. They actually do something called gurgling, which sounds really funny. And that they're doing multiple glides in quick succession, which greater gliders rarely do, as we could see from the distraction part of the paper. But then you might be wondering, why is this important? Obviously it's cool. We can hold a greater glider Olympics now. We know what the set is.
Yeah.
But why do we care? And the reason is these guys are losing habitat so quickly. It's their biggest problem, is we are just chopping down all their trees, especially in New South Wales. And one of the things they'll do when they do this, or when we're planning, roads and whatever, you'll see things they go, we'll make a habitat crossing or something, or this distance when we build this road is actually fine because a glider can glide from one side to the other without any problems. Well, if you were basing that off of 100 metres, you'd be sorely mistaken, and you'd have a glider in the middle of the road. So,
or just not crossing.
It would be just not crossing. They just don't attempt.
And so you'd get genetic bottlenecks in the little pockets either side of the road.
Or just build a really big tower that they climb up.
I'm assuming they've got a height preference and they're not just going up forever and ever and ever and wow, this tree's so tall, I'm just going to jump off it and see what happens. Gravity still exists.
Yes, true. Yeah.
But still, it's a big finding for a very big glider.
There you go.
Because dinosaurs did not go extinct. We know that. Not dinosaurs. Many dinosaurs went extinct, but dinosaurs did not go extinct. We have them all around us. They're called birds.
Yeah.
I just like to really lay down the law there.
As a marine scientist.
As a marine scientist, I'm here to talk
We got
to you
birds.
about birds.
Yeah.
The fish of the air.
And it may have not been a meteorite.
You tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Issy, we've got Gabe, we've got Peta, and we've got a text in from Terry. And if you want to text in, it's 0420 626 733. I don't know why I'm looking at the wall because I'm just doing it from memory anyway. And it says, they say, what's the Utopia episode when they build a tunnel under the freeway, but it leads straight into the animal's predator?
That is a real thing.
Yeah.
They've done this.
Yeah, with Animal Crossings.
Yeah.
Below and above. Yeah.
Generally, if you have a nice wide Animal Crossing that's treed and stuff, and you'll see them a little bit in southeast Queensland, we have a couple of them. They're pretty good. But occasionally, they did just make a
Predators
small tunnel.
Yeah.
And then they just found especially cats and foxes, just invasive species just waiting there for look, a nice little possum chomp.
I remember some research. Yeah, I remember some research that found that I think a lot of the natives didn't seem to learn it. The dingoes and the quolls and things or whatever they were looking at didn't learn, but the cats and the foxes were look, a prey delivery system.
How great.
Fair enough. And then Owen texted in and says, tell you what does fly is a 4ZZZ subscription.
Woo!
Your instant uplift on a column of warm inner glow. Job done. As you hover over 264 Barry Parade. Okay, we'll get back into the Weird Science, part 2. I won't ask who's next because I'll just get in trouble. So
do when you do it on the mic.
This science is weird in its results, but also in how it went about finding them. It's the Uncanny Valley and looking to see if it exists in monkeys.
How interesting.
I'm interested to know how they defined it.
Yeah. So, yes. Yeah. So the Uncanny Valley, just to do the recap, it's this idea that the more something looks like a human, the more we like it. You can visualize the graph. The graph goes up, 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 and our affinity, and how much we like it, the more human-like it gets, until you get really close to humans, and then we have a massive drop, and then it bounces back up again when you get to things that are actually human. So the beautiful examples we have are Cats, the movie, Polar Express, the movie.
I do love Polar Express, but I agree.
Are in the Uncanny Valley, whereas something like, Tom Hanks voices the creepy guy in Polar Express who triggers Uncanny Valley in a lot of people. He also voices a talking cowboy in an animated series called Toy Story. Yeah. And we don't think that's uncanny. It's a humanoid-looking thing, but that doesn't trigger the Uncanny Valley because it's far enough away that it's still... But it's not like an inanimate object. We like it. It's up on the scale. It's not triggering the Uncanny Valley because it's not close enough to humans. Whereas his same voice on a animated character that looks kind of human, very human-like, but also not quite.
Too human.
In something like Polar Express triggers it. So that's the idea. And there's a lot of explanations about why it's happening. The one that seems to hold the most weight of all the hypotheses and has some evidence recent evidence to back it up is this idea of our brain struggling to categorize it. So when we see something like a talking toy cowboy on the screen, we know that's in the category, some sort of non-human category.
Right.
When we see Tom Hanks, we go, that's a human. But when we see a weird version of Tom Hanks in Polar Express that's not quite human, our brain is either struggling to put it in one of those categories or just takes so long to process which category it's in. It has a weird feedback that we that comes out as a negative feeling, a negative thought.
I don't like this. This is confusing.
Yeah. So we think it's something to do with that categorization. Either it doesn't fit in a box or it takes too long to put in a box for our brain. But are we the only animals that experience this uncanny valley? We had no idea. And so a new study...
No idea?
We had no idea. And so a new study has tested macaque monkeys, rhesus macaques, to see if they also experience an uncanny valley, which things that look nearly but not quite like them. So this was published with open access in PLOS Biology by German and Belgian researchers, including the University of Tübingen in Germany. You got a QS ranking for me?
200.
That's 150.
512.
230. Pretty good, Max.
Thank you.
Pretty good. They had 8 captive rhesus macaques, which are native to many parts of Asia. And these macaques, I think, have been in research testing at one of their sort of hospitals, medical hospitals, research hospitals for a long time.
Yeah.
So they're captive monkeys. They also have had a lot of weird behavioral tests done to them over the years. They've got head posts surgically implanted into their heads to help hold their heads in place during this research. It does all go through ethics approval. It's not like it's under the radar stuff.
Okay.
And there's a lot of effort put into their welfare. They have a whole section in the paper about how the monkeys are looked after. But they are heavily experimented on monkeys. They've been through a lot of studies, particularly looking at like how brains fire in certain...
Well, it seems like that's what this is looking at.
And when they do this sort of research, they have to strap the monkeys in place so they can do eye tracking and get good brain readings. Otherwise,
like
the movement screws it up.
Still.
So they have to do so. Not great conditions for these monkeys. It does go through ethics approval, but I was a bit not too pleased reading about how they were kept. To look into what they did for this specific research, though, because it was a little lighter on for them, they had to make a mocap system for monkeys, a motion capture system. You might famously have seen
jumpers.
Might have famously seen what's his name, Andy Serkins, who plays Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, covered in little dots.
He's always covered in dots.
And he also does Casper, the chimpanzee in Planet of the Apes. Or you may have seen Benedict Cumberbatch strapped up with dots for the Smaug the dragon. Like, if you've ever seen actors covered in dots, that's motion capture. So they've got lots of cameras around the room reading the dots. They can't do that for monkeys because the fur movement doesn't work with little dots all over it. You can't capture it. There's too much light reflection going on. There's too much extra movement with the fur.
That's true.
So they can't strap them up to motion capture suits.
Yeah.
So no, they didn't. Well, they actually digitally saved them after as part of the Uncanny Valley bit. But they just had to they made a custom motion capture thing that just relies on 8 cameras and 8 LED light panels, and then goes through and uses a machine learning model to be able to track the key points on the monkey and do it that way. So it's using this machine learning model
to stabilize it. Yeah, cool.
To stabilize it and to track the right things.
Yeah,
it was interesting. I thought the animation was pretty bad.
Oh, never mind.
But pretty cool. It was good enough for what they needed. Like you're not going to see this sort of stuff in Disney anytime soon.
Right.
But they got what they got was movements that the monkeys would make, all sorts of different movements, from sitting still to walking to doing sort of behaviors. They tried to do behaviors that wouldn't elicit emotional responses, like neutral behaviors. And then they would animate that. They'd blur the face of the monkey because they didn't want facial stuff to be a part of it. They just wanted the rest of the body. And then they would play it back to these monkeys and track their eye movements. And what they would do is they would then decrease the reality of the animation. So they'd have it as true to life as they could. And then they'd sort of sequentially remove fur, colour, texture.
Like that bit in Inside Out where they become abstract.
Yeah. And so and then see how their eye tracking changed. They received juice rewards for out if they kept their eyes anywhere on the screen as part of the experiment.
Hell yeah, juice.
What they found was kind of exactly what you'd expect to find if there was an uncanny valley effect there in the monkey. So they found
Even
they paid,
without the face. That's
they paid
crazy.
more reaction to the very not monkey looking versions of the animation and the very monkey looking versions of the animation, and less attention to their eye tracking was paid towards those things in that middle, in the uncanny valley bit, which are a bit different but not super different from monkeys, which confirms previous research that looked just at the faces and did similar stuff with uncanny valley stuff just at the faces, but has confirmed this now in the whole body thing as well. It's not just a facial recognition going on, it's a whole body uncanny valley effect where they're seeing something that looks monkey but is not quite monkey, and that is something that they're treating differently. Their brains are treating that differently to something that is definitely not a monkey and something that definitely is a monkey, which is interesting for how this arose in humans, because macaques are also highly social like us, but they arose about 9 million years ago, and our last common ancestor is about 23 million years ago. So a long, long time ago is our last shared common ancestor. So if it appears in macaques and if it appears in humans, there's a good chance that it will appear in all of the other primates.
Can I share a theory? Because I thought about this when you said at the start. I was trying to think, why would we need this? And yes, it's a processing thing and a boxes thing, but maybe it's because we have lots. At the time when we developed it, there were other species on the planet that looked very like us, and there's a real need for you to be able to tell what's you and what's not.
That's one of the genuine hypotheses for the
Hell yeah.
uncanny valley. Another one is it could be potentially related to disease avoidance. So humans that have been afflicted by disease might trigger this uncanny valley, and people steer clear from them if it changes how they look in a certain way. It could be why it triggers on things like when we see zombie animations and things in TV shows, why it will often trigger for people there. Like, there may be something there. The answer is they don't know why it happens, but those are two of the possibilities. Another is that it's just a weird side effect of our very complex social brains that are doing a lot of processing. But yes, so it confirms that macaques, these monkeys, do seem to have an uncanny valley like humans do.
So they call it the uncertainty of paternity.
Yes, exactly. So that's been the driving assumption.
This was before American daytime TV, was it? You are the father.
You tune into 4ZZZ, your weekly. No idea. The science show.
What?
What's happening?
Can we
What is
reboot
going
it?
on?
Are we live?
Are we? Is the mics on?
Toby can get rid of all this, can't he?
Yeah.
Edit it out
Don't
from the
clean
live
it up
show.
in post.
It's going to be like a 10-minute show, 10-minute podcast. With me, Max, we've got Issy, we've got Gabe, we've got our friendly neighbourhood, a marine sign.
Do you know what tuna is?
Fish.
It's fish!
Thank God someone's working on this. I don't know what I'd do without it.
Fish are friends, not food.
Great start. Gabe, what does a cat say?
Yeah.
Max, what does a chicken say?
Cluck, cluck.
And Izzy, what does a shark say? And as you can hear from that wonderful whale sound, we know that underwater sound is very important. And we've talked about this a lot. Underwater sound is very efficient. Sound moves better through water. So I wanted to ask you guys, how well can you hear underwater?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good question.
I haven't thought about that.
No.
But you do.
You reckon your hearing is better underwater?
You can hear boats and stuff when you go surfing.
Yeah, but like if you heard, I mean, decibels are very hard to compare in different densities, like air and water. But like if you heard a similar sound above and underwater, do you think?
Yeah. think I used to play this game as a kid where someone would scream underwater and you would ask whether or not you heard it. But
we would try and translate underwater. We'd both go underwater, sit there for ages, and then say sentences to each other and come up and try and see if we could figure out what we'd say.
Yeah.
And this sort of comes into it because actually humans can hear remarkably well underwater.
Oh, good.
Far better than anticipated.
That's sick.
But we still have a big issue.
We can't breathe
So,
underwater.
Nailed it. Yep.
Yeah, you cracked it.
He's got it.
That's it.
That's actually the end of the segment.
Solving the big problems.
Yeah, you've been listening to No Idea.
Max has figured out marine science. So the problem is that our middle ear is still filled with air, and sounds don't translate well between water and air. In fact, about 99% of sound is reflected at the seawater air barrier. So if you're thinking about you being underwater, if someone's talking on a boat above the surface, you can't hear that. You can never hear that. But the thing that they do when you're scuba diving, actually, is they'll tell you if there's a problem, they bang on the bottom of the boat, on the hull. And the reason they bang on the hull is because that sound travels remarkably well through the water and you will hear it very clearly.
And is originating from within the water as well, because it's from the hull, coming out from the hull underneath.
Under the water,
It's not going through that barrier.
It's not going through the barrier. But one thing you might find an issue with is even if you hear that big sound, you may not know where it's coming from. So one of the things we really struggle with, even though we do actually go a bit, we perform better than they thought they would with this 99% reflection barrier. We actually can hear very well, but we don't have directionality. And our brains need that to be able to interpret sound. Also, when we're talking about that whole thing of us being underwater in the pool and trying to speak to each other, we speak with air. So you're automatically and your mouth can't make the sounds. So speaking is a whole nother reason we're bad underwater. But listening, even if you could play a sound underwater, we have a lot of trouble deciphering it because it's at a decibel level that we're not used to. We have this seawater air barrier in our middle ear, and we are really terrible with directionality. Can't tell where it came from. It's almost like muffled. And all land mammals have this problem. Granted, most land mammals don't swim. We just do it for fun. But all land mammals would have this problem. Most marine mammals have the opposite problem, where their ears don't work in the air. But there's one group that's mastered both.
The crossover.
It's called amphibious hearing. And it's for pinnipeds. Now, Gabe, do you know what pinnipeds are?
Seals, sea lions, and something else.
Walruses.
Walruses.
So true seals, eared seals and walruses. Even though one of them's called eared, it's just because they've got external ears. You don't really need to worry about that. But yeah, seals, sea lions, walruses. I'm just going to call them seals because you'll know them as seals. And the reason that they have amphibious hearing is because they still breed, sleep, and rest on land. They come to land for a lot of things, actually. So they kind of need to be able to live there effectively. And the crazy thing is they can hear clearly, understand directions, and communicate in both environments, which is kind of unheard of in other places. But then the question is how? How are they doing that? Because we know that they've got a very similar ear structure to ours, right? Like generally their ears work in a similar mechanism. So people previously thought it might be bone conduction. So you know those bone conduction headphones you can have where you basically vibrate the bone behind your head. You do hear things through bone conduction. We all do. It's just one of the ways that you basically can't stop the vibrations coming to your brain, so your brain still interprets them. But the problem with bone conduction is it results in a substantial loss of underwater sound signal, about 30 decibels of sound you lose through bone conduction. And it also doesn't help us understand their directional hearing and the clarity of the sounds, because you'll know if you use bone conduction, unless it's very well engineered, you can't really decipher things. You don't know where it's coming from. Actually, if you've used those bone conduction headphones, you'll probably be able to attest that the directionality of it is strange. Like you have a couple of seconds where your brain is like, where is this coming from? I don't understand the sound.
And I think that's why our voice sounds different to us than it does when you record it, because you're constantly hearing it with the bone conduction reverberating around your skull and jaw and everything.
A lot louder than anyone else's anyway.
Yeah, a lot louder than my voice would be coming across to anyone else. So that makes it sound so much different.
Yeah, and then when you listen back to it, it takes a long time to get used to that, I can promise
when you hear your own voice.
But some researchers from Monash University, QS ranking please.
Oh,
20,
no.
Did they get to 21? Were they the ones who dropped? Or were they further?
No, further. I think they're like 80.
I'm going to do a 60 just to round
That's right,
it out.
Melbourne University's
Gabe was the
21.
closest. They definitely dropped. They're 31.
31.
Had a huge drop to
wow.
31. And so those researchers have dug in deeper to try and figure out when this started and how they do this remarkable feat. So they looked at, to do this, to figure out what is happening, they looked at 216 scans of seal ears. So they did CT imaging, which is like a 3D X-ray, so that they can see inside the tissues where the bone is, blah, blah, blah. And they looked at 119 different species. Now, those pinniped scientists around us will know that there are not 119 species of seals alive today. They also used extinct seals and their terrestrial relatives.
Cool.
So they're
That's
trying to,
sick.
again, place when this happened and how. They only used fossil specimens from museums. Sorry, fossil and modern, but they're all from the museum, so they're all dead. There's no live seals in this. And here's what they found. So the air of the middle ear, which they do still have, so they have air in their middle ear, is surrounded by what researchers are calling cavernous tissue. So just kind of imagine like a balloon, I guess. So like a space that can be filled. And when seals dive, that tissue fills with blood. Now, the reason it does that is because it helps them equalize air pressure in their ears, which if you've ever dived, if you've ever put your head underwater or been on a plane, you will know what that feels like, the air squeaking out your ears as you come down.
So they could increase and decrease the amount of blood to change the pressure of the air inside it. Like
physically
a
squeeze it.
reverse balloon almost.
Yeah, sort of. And so when they're diving, that fills with blood. But the other thing about blood, you might know, it has a very similar density to water. And
so it's mainly water,
because
right?
it's mainly water.
Yeah,
And what does that mean? It has very similar acoustic properties. So the researchers calculated that just by having that blood in this space, it changes the seawater air barrier from that 99% reflectance to 1%. Which means they are hearing using the exact same mechanism as above the water. It's not like they switch to something else and their brain changes it into feedback. The same little thing is vibrating and making those waves. So to them, they wouldn't notice a difference between, like they probably notice a difference in
How the sound
volume or
moves and
something.
stuff. Yeah.
But to them, they're interpreting it the same, which is incredible. In my mind, it's sort of a translation unit.
Yeah.
In that the blood is acting literally as a liquid translator. It's like, oh, I'm a liquid, I'll help you out here.
Yeah.
And we can figure it out together. They also found that seals that tend to dive deeper have a larger cavernous tissue, so they have a lot more blood, which makes sense. They're diving
For
deeper.
more pressure.
You're
Yeah.
going to need that. So elephant seals have massive amounts of cavernous tissue and very small amounts of air. And they did have a little graph in the paper where they showed that the deeper the seals dive and perhaps the more time they spend in the water, the smaller the pocket of air is. So they think that essentially they sacrifice some in air hearing, the range of decibels you can hear, for some underwater hearing, because it is different. They're like little scales.
The more
of
they
what
rely
can
on
hear. Exactly, the more they
and
actually
deeper
need
dives,
it.
yeah.
But then there's the other big question, which is when did this evolve? Like, how did this happen? And they found that amphibious hearing in seals originated roughly 26.7 million years ago. So this is not recent. This is very, very ancient. And lead author Dr. James Rule says that this likely means that amphibious hearing is as fundamental to being a seal as their flippers, which was a quote that blew me away. I was like, that's a great way to explain it, is if they didn't have this, they wouldn't be a seal, which I think really plays into this idea that they are, amphibious creatures, really. They are marine. We classify them as marine because they rely on the ocean. But they come to land way more than any other marine mammal. In fact, they're in a very different, I'm not sure if people know this, they're in a very different area of taxonomy than you'd say your other marine mammals, so dolphins, whales, those cetacea. These actually are more closely related to, so their closest living land relatives are the mustaloids. And Gabe, do you know what a mustaloid is?
They're like the weasels and all of those.
Weasels, raccoons, skunks, and red pandas are the closest living land relatives to a seal. And once you look at it, you kind of can see the resemblance. You're like, oh, yeah, you're cousins from a very long way back. But essentially, one of the other things here was the question of, he's saying this is so fundamental to being a seal. Well, then the question is, why is it there, right? And they think that despite how important this has become for their hearing, they think that the cavernous tissue was actually first developed to help with pressure, and the hearing was an added bonus that came afterwards. And the reason they think that is because there is another amphibious mammal, one that we know of, otters, sea otters.
Also mustelids.
Have live in land and water, but they don't have good amphibious hearing, and they think it's because they have shallow dives, so they never had big cavernous tissue.
They never had the need to evolve the big pocket of blood, so they never had that evolutionary feedback of also getting the sound.
Yeah. Huh. So that's the thing. Seals, fantastic hearing, and now we know why.
I learned that you can hear the difference between different water temperatures when they're poured. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour one after the other into a different glass, and you have to tell me which one is which temperature. I've got a hot and a cold. You ready? Yep. Right, here's the first one. Any thoughts?
Is this the bodily fluids again? Yeah, I'm saying cold.
It sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Here's the second one.
Oh.
Well played.
Shut up.
You're tuning to 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Issy, we've got Gabe, and we've got Peta.
Single press overtake, stay in scenario 7.
If you push me off the track, I think you have to leave the space. All the time you have to leave the space.
Come on. Get it, kiddo. Get it. Woo. Yeah, you don't need to tell me that.
Max, we're in this together, mate. Head down. Come on.
Yes! Great job, guys. That was hard work. Oh, that was hard work.
F1, Ferrari has been busy doing some filming, in inverted commas, at the new Madrid circuit in Spain, known as the Mad Ring. Both Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc took turns driving an F1 car around the latest F1 circuit. Some teams complained that the Ferrari drivers have been given an unfair advantage before the inaugural race in September. And I'm saying this is not entirely true, because there is another current F1 driver who has driven the circuit for obvious reasons. Spaniard Carlos Sainz received an invitation back in May. It should be noted that Carlos drove around in a Ford Mustang, so not quite F1 machinery, but given he drives a Williams, not that far removed.
Yeah.
For me, the optics aren't that great for F1 testing because it's so restricted. F1 teams live and die on what data they gather from a particular circuit, and for Ferrari to have the only data set for a brand new track driven using the latest F1 car is clearly not a good look. But for those following F1 and possibly for the first time, just remember that Ferrari is to Formula One as Argentina is to world football. Is that good enough, Gabe?
I reckon.
Fair enough.
Meanwhile,
Very fair.
Last weekend, most F1 drivers were at the Goodwood Festival of Speed off the back of racing at Silverstone. There were some great opportunities to get close and personal with some F1 drivers, past and present, along with seeing some exotic machinery.
Yeah. Making a feature at the Goodwood Festival of Speed was F1 Academy Championship leader Alicia Pomolsky, who got the rare opportunity to drive Red Bull's $9 million Australian RB17 hypercar, of which only 50 are built.
Yeah, no pressure.
Whilst Nina Gaiman also got to tackle the hill, the Dutch driver, currently third in this year's championship, took the wheel of a 2012 Lotus E20, marking her first ever drive behind the wheel of a Formula One. Now putting us at 3 women who have driven in a Formula One car after Dorian Parn did her laps in Silverstone with Mercedes. Nice. So fantastic way of just seeing how F1 Academy, a lot of people talk about it's just girls getting into motorsport period, but actually having the opportunity to drive the Formula One cars. Yeah. Closer to home this weekend seems round 2 of the Japanese Kyoto Cup, with Aussie driver Joanna Seconte hoping to continue her early success. She placed second in the Cup's opening round at Fuji Speedway back in May, which we covered. On the domestic front, we've got teenage sensation Alice Buckley, the winner of the Toyota Gazoo Racing Australia Scholarship Series, making her mark in the TA2 machinery, so like V8s, producing what did you write, 525 plus horsepower?
Yeah.
Jeez, driving in Australia's own Trans Am series whilst pursuing a full-time seat at the Dunlop Super 2 series. Her goal is to become the first full-time female driver in the Supercars Championship since 2019.
So that'd be cool, wouldn't
it? Very aspirational, but I think very, very likely.
Totally. MotoGP also happened on the weekend. It was in Germany. Spaniard Marc Marquez on a Ducati won the feature race from Japanese rider Ogura and Spaniard Raul Fernandez, both riding Trackhouse Aprilias. And Trackhouse is also the team SVG drives for in NASCAR Cup. Aussie Jack Miller managed to bring it home, his Yamaha in 12th, earning 4 points. Also, the big one, Supercars, as we were talking about, was in Townsville on the weekend. They had race 20, 21 and 22. Cam Waters won race 20, Matthew Payne won race 21, and Brody Kostecki race 22nd or 22. Matthew Payne currently leads the championship from Brock Feeney and Brody Kostecki. It should be noted that the top 5 drivers in this year's championship are all driving Ford Mustangs.
Ooh.
So make of that what you will, but there could be some disparity issues amongst the 3 manufacturers now that Toyota has joined Ford and Chevrolet. Or it could be just Ford simply attracts the best supercar drivers.
Correlation does not equal causation, Max. Anything could happen.
NASCAR also happened the weekend. It was the Cup race racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The high-speed oval circuit features corners that bank around 28 degrees. Not necessarily a track suited for former supercar champion Shane Van Gisbergen, but he made it look effortless, starting from P11. The race was red flagged for 3 hours mid-race due to rain. After resumption, Shane managed to finish in the top 10, coming home in 7th, then later elevated to 6th and earned a swag of points. SVG now sits within the all-important top 16 in 15th position with Issy, you ready? With 469
points. Nice.
Gabe, tell us about F1 this weekend.
Well, it's in Spa.
Yeah.
High-speed circuit. And because of that, I've seen a lot of reports that Ferrari are going to introduce an even bigger Macarena wing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I don't know why it's called Macarena wing, but it's a flipping wing. It flips upside down. They have a rear wing on them that gives them more downforce onto the back wheels to put that power down onto the road. And they've developed, in the new generation of cars, they can all open that wing up and on the straights, so you don't have it pushing down on the straights where you don't need it. You have it in the corners when you're braking and you're accelerating. So they're having an even bigger one for Spa that I think should give them like 11 kilometres, I've seen one report say, per hour more speed on the straights.
Yeah.
They're sacrificing a bit of downforce on the back of the car and getting even higher top speeds. And they're making some other tweaks to it too to achieve the same sort of effect. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The flipping wings are getting a bit of criticism. They're being investigated by the FIA over Verstappen's crash, right?
Bit dangerous.
So they're having a look into that to see if it's a big safety concern. I remember when it first started, there was, I think it was Lewis Hamilton. We were sitting in the press conferences, you and I, and Lewis Hamilton was saying, was it Hamilton or George Russell? One of them was saying
it was
something
George
about
Russell.
George Russell?
Yeah.
Saying that it maybe should be looked at because when it does the flip, when this was not the Macarena wing, this is just the normal opening and closing wing they've got. When it flips back, there's this moment of turbulence which seems to unsettle the car a bit. So, and in a Macarena wing where you're doing a full rotation, you're not just pushing the flap down, you're flipping it up and around, and so it's upside down. You get even more of that turbulence happening in that moment. So they might introduce some sort of safety about how much turbulence you're allowed to make, how quickly it needs to flip up, something about that to try and minimize any weird bits of airflow over the car in that critical braking moment, which can lead to accidents.
Because Red Bull brought theirs along, and and now they're not using it. And then thank you. And then McLaren brought theirs along, and they decided not to use it, did they? Because it wasn't working properly.
Wasn't up to didn't meet their tests on track, even though it had been sent from the studios back at their HQ. And so there's no other races going on this weekend. Only the Formula One had the audacity to schedule a race on the same weekend as the FIFA World Cup final.
I know. So race at 11 and then 5 a.m. wake up.
Yep. that's the Sunday night plan for you.
But I'm excited because Spa is Oscar Piastri's favourite track as well. So I'm hoping at the very least McLaren pulls through with something.
Exactly. We'll see.
So we can stop the love affair with P5, P7 and P11 briefly.
I thought you go for your favourite number.
69.
It is.
It is?
It is. You're tuning to 4ZZZ and the show with no idea with me, Max. We've got Peter, we've got Gabe. What do you got first, Issy?
Let me back in the kitchen, baby, because I'm cooking. Everyone, this is your sign to get picky. And I don't mean eating, I mean culture. Yeah? So Timothy Chalamet will be scared of me because you need to get to the opera, baby. This science is going to... I'll let you know. Researchers from the Institute of Science in Tokyo, Japan, which has a QS ranking. Can I please receive it?
30K.
231.
Institute of Science. Oh, that could be anywhere.
Could be anywhere.
600.
Oh, you're going to kick yourselves.
Yeah.
It's 97.
Oh.
It's one of the highest rated institutes in the world for science. And they have completed the first longitudinal study examining the association between cultural engagement and physiological age, this time controlling for unmeasured factors that do not change over time. So this is the first kind of watertight examination of people over the age of 50 and looking at how they engage in the arts, in kind of media, and whether or not that has a correlation with their physiological age. So this is fresh off the press from the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health, where they analysed data on 1,899 adults who took part in the English longitudinal study of aging, which is an ongoing population-based study which looks at a sample of adults aged 50 or over living in England with data collected in 2004 to 2005, 2006 to 2007, and 2008 to 2009.
So it wasn't Japanese?
It wasn't Japanese, but the Institute of Science analysed the data for them. So it worked in association with the study.
I mean, this is one of the benefits of having data that anyone can access.
Exactly.
You get different minds to look at different things.
Nurses collected 10 physiological markers, including BMI, walking pace, blood pressure, grip strength, to create a composite physiological age score. So basically looking at all the different factors that may not reflect an individual's earth or human age, but maybe looking at their health.
Their soul age.
Yes. It immediately threw me back to if anyone had the Wii Fit, where you'd have to do all those little tests and then it would tell you you are 80 years old, and I'm like, I'm 10. So, study participants also completed a questionnaire where they asked how often they A, went to the cinema, B, a museum or art gallery, and C, a theatre, concert, or the opera. For each item, respondents selected a scale from 0, never, to 5, twice a month or more, to complete a composite cultural engagement score ranging from 0 to 15. So, piece of like a little grain of salt in there that is registered data. So
yes, I go to the opera twice a week. Actually.
Exactly. So the study found that those with a high level of cultural engagement, so doing something cultural every few months or so, had a physiological age of 66.9 years, which is 3 years lower than those with lower levels of cultural engagement, so 69.9 years. Now there is...
What was that? The second one?
Yeah, 69. There is a class element to this, with individuals with a higher level of cultural engagement more likely to be women, have higher socioeconomic status, be in paid employment, and also have better health conditions.
Yeah, I was going to say you'd need to really control the variables on this one.
Quite a lot of number crunching going on. But the study's authors suggest that cultural engagement can strengthen social relationships, promote healthier lifestyle behaviours, because you have to go out and actually attend physically, and improve mental health, all of which can help slow the pace of physiological aging. So such an interesting study looking at, especially in the the older population. There's a whole world of
You don't have to have money to go and do it.
No, exactly. And
obviously that needs to be taken into account, but there are, and you should support the arts if you have the ability to.
Yes.
But there's lots of free art out there that you can go and see and go and be a part of, and it's a great idea to do it, because the reality is, why not?
Yeah, and looking at the methodology as well, this is very early, this is from your early 2000s data. So I wonder, with COVID and the arts being so much more accessible online, if that will change. So this is my pitch. I would say I'm making a call out for more recent data for a study like this, but also how is a 4ZZZ subscription can also reduce your physiological age.
Oh, talk about culture.
Because you get the arts,
subscribing,
you get the news,
you get the arts,
you get
the
sport,
news, and the science.
And if you walk to the station and ask and get your membership and your subscriction there.
Oh, wow. Full cultural
Then,
experience.
Full cultural experience. Physiological health through the roof.
For real.
4ZZZ.org.au/support is the website. Max, you got the options there?
I do. If you're under 18, it's $25. If you want to subscribe your pet, it's $25. Basic/concession, $40. A full subscription will set you back $80. A passionate, $140. Or super sub, $500 for the year. Get your name written down in golding downstairs.
We've also got a monthly subscriber prize as well, which is fantastic. Garage Sounds Record Store is giving a voucher of $200, which can be used for anything physical media. So your vinyls, your CDs, your cassettes, you got your books and even merch all roped in. This is
Surround yourself with even more culture.
Yeah, get merch for your culture as well. And don't forget, 4ZZZ is also a community. So we've got gigs, we've got all sorts of sub-outlets as well. So if you prefer your culture takeaway or to go, you can definitely visit a variety of different locations around Brisbane, which will supply your culture in smaller doses.
I wasn't a picky eater, and then I realised I was dying. I decided to stop that.
Yeah.
Oops.
You tune into 4ZZZ and the show with no idea with me, Max. We've got Issy, we've got Gabe, and we've got Peta, and we received a text in from Dave from Eco Radio.
Yeah, Dave wanted to know whether axolotls or platypuses have anything similar to the underwater hearing, which is a great
seals,
point, Dave. Yeah, the amphibious hearing in seals, because I actually lied. Otters are not the only other mammal that is amphibious. Platypuses obviously are.
Yep.
They're monotremes, so they're weird mammals, but they're still mammals. So thank you for that. We'll start with axolotls. Axolotls have no external ears. So they kind of cut the problem a little bit in that there will never be a water-air barrier that they have to deal with because nothing can get in the ear in the first place. It's completely covered over. But they do have an inner ear and a lateral line on their body that can both pick up vibrations. Apparently they're not that great at it, though. They're all right. They can hear something, but it's not super useful to them. Platypuses, though, I thought were interesting because, like the otters, they don't have deep dives, but they have the problem that all mammals have, where they basically just decided we're going to choose one or the other, and they chose air, which I thought was really surprising. So funnily enough, they hear very, very well above water apparently, but when they're under, they shut their ears incredibly tight so no water gets in. They also usually shut their eyes as well, despite them being adapted to sight underwater. And they just essentially use this very, very adapted
Electroreception in the bill, right?
But also just touch. It's also just they can just feel the movement of the water.
Yes,
so
that's right.
They've got some very interesting little things that they can do, but they don't need ears, so they just shut them.
Cool. Part 3 of this. Okay, quick tutorial before we begin. Uranium atom in its neutral form has 92 protons, so it has the atomic number of 92, and therefore it is paired with 92 electrons. But this is where it gets a bit funny. You got uranium
ions,
and you got U6, which means it's lost 6 electrons, and it's usually called the mobile uranium. You got U5, which has lost 5 electrons, and that's in between uranium. And the U4, known as the stuck uranium, has lost only 4 electrons. So this study...
And the U2, which comes pre-installed on iPhones for no reason.
Now, this study involved researchers from Germany, France, and Spain. No QS ranking, so this week I thought we could use the Good Country Index. So Germany, on the Good Country Index, what sort of number do you think?
On the
What
Good
is
Country
throwing in other
Index.
things?
4.
3.
I don't know. Germany. So yeah. high.
3?
Yeah.
Germany?
3.
They're in timeout.
Yeah.
They're still in timeout. They can't be 3.
It's like a livability score.
Oh, fair enough. Then that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got France, they're 5, and Spain is 14.
Sorry, doesn't France have like 8-hour lunches or something? I think they're fine.
But I also, I feel like French people are never truly satisfied. So if you're going on a satisfaction score,
they're answering the form like,
no. I'm going to go 10 or actually maybe lower.
It's 5.
Oh, 5, damn.
Okay. Anyway, Australia's 19 for the record. Picture a flooded uranium mine in Germany's Orb Mountains.
Okay,
dormant since, since 1990, but it's still leaking radioactive water. Enter a European team of scientists with a surprisingly humble weapon.
Yes, I can help.
Some leftover glycerol, which is a clear, odourless and sweet-tasting liquid. Okay.
Don't lick it once it's near the uranium.
The study's hypothesis, what would happen if glycerol was dumped into the mine water and we waited for, say, 130 days?
What?
Casual. Nice, good round number.
Okay.
You know what? Yeah, what the hell?
Uranium found in water from mines is usually in a form where the uranium atoms have lost 6 electrons, and chemists call this U6. This form dissolves in water fairly easily, which is why it tends to show up rather than staying locked in solid rock. The classic remediation story is simple. Get bacteria to reduce U6 to U4, which precipitates out as a solid, thereby stopping migration. When the researchers fed the mine water native microbial community glycerol as an electron donor, uranium concentrations plummeted by 96%.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, from 1 milligram per litre down to a more compliant 0.04 milligrams per litre. Was that the stat we had for Australia winning the World Cup?
0.3.
0.3, close enough.
I think it was 0.03, wasn't it?
No, 0.3.
Oh, okay.
Don't underestimate the Socceroosca.
Fermenting bacteria energised on glycerol produce acetate, lactate and hydrogen, which fed sulfate and metal-reducing bacteria that in turn help shove electrons onto the uranium. Using X-ray analysis powerful enough to distinguish uranium's oxidation states atom by atom, the team found the reduction did not stop cleanly at U4. A sizable chunk, say 20 to 30% throughout the experiment, got stuck at U5, the pentavalent, the in-between state, the oxidation state, that is usually considered fleeting. Textbook uranium chemistry treats U5 as a moment similar to Schrodinger's cat that when observed...
It must exist, but it's hard. It doesn't exist for long enough for it to really exist.
It's either U6 or U4.
So that is weird.
Yeah.
Because that means that there are electrons available for them to take. And they would really badly want an electron. But they're just like, no, I'm chill, actually. I'm feeling about it.
And it's found that the U5 persisted for 130 days in anaerobic conditions. So that's an environment bereft of oxygen. And this was remarkable. And it was still detectable 4 weeks after they exposed the mine to open air. So electron analysis revealed how it was pulling off this vanishing act, hiding in 2 disguises. A U5 carbonate complexes floating around cell surfaces and, more excitingly, locked into nanoparticles of ferrous U5O4, a uranium ion
they were
mineral.
sharing the electrons.
Back
so
and
they
forth.
were U5, but
Yeah.
they were sharing a 6 electron, so they were okay with it.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's a uranium ion mineral partnership with a thermodynamically stable enough to resist being oxidized back to U6. Meanwhile, actual U4 nanocrystals, just 2 to 3 nanometers across, were forming right on bacterial cell surfaces alongside the pirate particles. Conventional wisdom said reduced uranium comes in one stable form, that's U4. This paper suggests nature is running a more complex process, with U5 acting as a kind of redox buffer that can delay uranium from redissolving into, even if U4 around it gets reoxidized by fluctuating groundwater chemistry. So for remediation engineers monitoring expensive, indefinite water treatment operations at old mine sites, this could be a big deal. The study suggests that cheap, abundant biodiesel waste could help lock away uranium more durably than previously assumed, using bacteria that were already sitting in the mine water waiting to be re-energized. Job
And
done.
good luck to anyone in PR trying to sell that idea to
Yeah.
the public. Pouring waste into uranium.
No idea, Space Mule. The Long March 10B is China's answer to reusability. They managed to recover its first stage last Friday. It's done by the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation.
Is it called the Long March?
The Long March.
Was it trained on the Great Wall?
Yeah, well, it looks like it. So they caught it with a sea recovery vessel using hooks deployed, and it has a big net on the actual recovery vessel that catches it.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's like wires that come out and catch it. It's
like Spider-Man.
Kind of, yeah. And it puts out these little like spokes out the side as it gets close, and it just sort of snags on the spokes. It's a really, really clever way of catching it and getting that last stage sorted by just sort of it being able to get close and then drop and the wires catch it.
Oh, yeah. So almost elastic as well.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Because they don't want to put legs on the booster because it adds too much weight. That's why they send them up without any landing legs. So they now join companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin in achieving recovery of an orbital booster. So Falcon 9 booster, SpaceX has achieved some more milestones. The booster with tail number B1071 recently completed its 35th flight while performing the 209th landing on the drone ship Of Course I Still Love You, and adding to SpaceX's impressive recovery total. The total number of boosters recovered by SpaceX now stands at 636. This includes both land and sea capture. And NASA has released their latest TV ratings. You didn't know they had TV ratings, did you, Izzy?
No.
Streaming numbers indicate that 149.4 million people used agency platforms in March and April to follow the 4 astronauts on Artemis 2.
Oh, that's cool.
As they prepped for their mission, lifted off aboard the Space Launch System, or the SLS rocket, flew past the moon and finally splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. The viewership figure includes the mission's 24/7 live streams of mission activities and views from the Orion spacecraft. And finally, RIP Sam Neill this week. I was going to do another film for this sequence, a sci-fi film, but I thought I'd have to do a Sam Neill film. And his name is Sir Nigel John Dermot Neill. He appeared in many movies from Jurassic Park to The Piano. But today we celebrate Sam Neill's 1997 movie, Event Horizon, a movie with some challenging quotes like, "Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see. Hell is only a word. The reality is much, much worse." And my favourite one that I say before I start every No Idea episode, Ex Inferis, which says, "Save yourself from hell." Anyway, a quick review of Event Horizon by freelance arts journalist Stephen A. Russell, which I pinched from the ABC News website. Do you want to read it out, Izzy?
I don't have it up. You can read it.
Space, the final frontier, is front and centre in this 1997 sci-fi epic helmed by director...
Wait, but that's the Star Trek quote. You can't say space, the final frontier, without Star Trek.
It was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, which was hacked to pieces by the studio and perhaps unfairly maligned by critics at the time. It's an enjoyable, glory, twisty-turny action movie with an enviable cast that includes Lawrence Fishburne, Jolie Richardson and Jason Isaacs. Neil plays Dr. William Weir, the mysterious designer of the missing titular ship. The crew of the Lewis and Clark are tasked with retrieving after it reappears next to Neptune 7 years after disappearing. All hell breaks loose when they are aboard. In a nice touch, Weir, an Australian in 2047, wears a badge on his uniform that depicts the Aboriginal flag in place of the Union Jack.
Yeah.
I'd seen that. I really like that flag, actually.
Yeah, I do too.
Unironically, I would take that flag. It looks great.
Every day of the week.
It was a personal request from him as well. It wasn't an executive decision.
No.
And he said, I think in a tweet, he said, I would see this as, I wouldn't do it any differently today. I see this as the future of Australia's flag.
Yeah. Didn't he say he couldn't imagine a future where our flag wasn't something similar? And that he was like, I couldn't imagine a future where we still had the Union Jack, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. You tune into 4ZZZ with me, Max. We've got Issy, we've got Gabe, we've got Peta. The show's No Idea, but not for much longer. Sign us out, Gabe.
That's right. That is all we have time for in this episode of No Idea. It was brought to you thanks to all the subscribers to 4ZZZ. You can join them at 4ZZZ.org.au, which is also where you can listen back to the full recording of this show with all the music, as well as a bunch of our previous shows. And we have the condensed version on your podcasting platform of choice. Search up No Idea 4ZZZ. That's No with a K. No Idea 4ZZZ.
Toby might also cut out some of Max's flubs at the start of the show, so it might be an easier
Might get a cleaner show
Really
if you listen back to the podcast. You can also watch us back on some socials clips at the same tag, No Idea 4ZZZ. Thanks to Toby for editing up that pod, and thanks to you, Max, Izzy, and Peter for your stories this week. We'll be back in your ears next week. Between now and then, rest assured that when you play No Idea to seals, they're sure to hear it. Ponder the evolutionary drivers behind the uncanny valley. Pour some glycerol in your uranium and get picky with your culture.
And we'll speak to you next week.
See ya.
Later.
See ya.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.